Hello, Realty pros, and welcome back to another exciting week of Realty Talks. And this is really exciting. This week's Realty Talks is exciting, and it's just follow up with what our new challenge and incentive is, something that Miss Porter has been preparing us for. And we have been talking about multi-million-dollar listings. And so we're just going to have a conversation as a family to encourage one another to maybe get some tips and some insight on these multi-million-dollar listings. And so I was thinking about just for the past few weeks, the information that Ms. Porter has been sharing with us. And before I do that, though, just wanted to also thank you all for taking your time out to join us this afternoon for today's Realty Talk. We appreciate that very much. And I want to also invite everyone to please feel free to be a part of the conversation. Okay, feel free, if you are able, to unmute yourself to jump in and contribute to the conversation. So I appreciate that as well. But as I was saying, Ms. Porter has been gearing us up for something very exciting. And that is our multi-million-dollar listings. And I was thinking back on the last couple of weeks where she's been sharing, and she some of the things. Well, one of the first things that she mentioned to us, was, or she asked us, our thoughts regarding, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings regarding that clientele, that multi-million-dollar clientele. And so just as a kind of a review, is there someone who can take themselves off mute and maybe just share some of what we talked about as far as our concerns, our thoughts, our feelings when we think about moving into the area of multi-million-dollar listings? And if not, I can call on some of us as well. Okay. Okay. So how about, because I know that this person, Bill Keys, if you are able to, thank you for joining us, but if you're able to take yourself off mute, if you could just share with us, because you had shared with us regarding, when Miss Porter posed the idea of $1 million listing, you shared with us what your feelings were. And even in that moment, as you were sharing, your feelings even kind of, I felt like, changed as well.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. Had a busy morning. I would like to say that in the beginning of the series, initially what I shared that my feelings were about it was excited but nervous. Going throughout the series, Ms. Porter has exposed us to higher listings and also given us information in regards to the importance of being competent and what's the other one? Like knowledgeable about the listings and familiarizing yourselves with different terminology and different things regarding those listings, so that when you are placed in those positions where you may be having those clients, that you're able to give them your most knowledgeable information and experience when working with you. Overall, so far, coming into going into the series even further, I'm becoming more comfortable when I'm looking on the MLS and just going through those similar properties under those $1 million criteria, and just practicing the skills that Miss Porter has implemented, and kind of shared those little nuggets with us over the couple of times that we've met so far. So I've gotten more comfortable. Again, I've not been placed in that position in the beginning, in person, which is a process, but I can say that when I think about it now, I'm feeling more confident, and I feel that this has been very helpful.
Great. So, and the great part, thank you, Bill Keys, for sharing that with us. So it seems as if though the more that has been shared, the more that you're able to push through what your initial concerns are, and understanding that, the more that knowledge is key, right? And so I'm excited for you, so that you'll be prepared when you come in contact with that individual, or when you place yourself in position to come in contact with that individual that is going to give you that multi-million-dollar listing. Thank you so much, Bill Keys, for your contribution. Mrs. Porter, since you are on, is there anything, well, I know there is plenty that you can share, but please feel free to unmute yourself and share.
Absolutely. Well, as you guys know, this is a very exciting topic for us. And I just want to take a moment to encourage you guys and share some words with you that were shared with me when I was brand new to real estate. When I was a brand new agent, one of my brokers, he used to send me just little deals, if you will, for rentals, and they were rentals for like $1,500. And he just saw that as such a tremendous investment into my real estate business. Then I started becoming interested in being a luxury property specialist. And I started talking about going to school and getting these designations and doing all these things. And he sat with me and he said, Jasmine, you do not need a designation to sell a luxury property. He said, you have a real estate license. And I'm going to say the same thing to you guys today. You have a license as a real estate salesperson. You do not have to have a designation to sell a luxury property or any type of property. You absolutely have what you need. The biggest thing is mindset. Mindset, specifically understanding that you absolutely can. And all you have to do is educate yourself. What we're doing, we're starting with 101 level education, and you can go as high as you would like to go in terms of that education, but starting with the mindset and knowing that I can absolutely do this. I have what it takes. The sales process is the same. And I will say to you that it's actually much easier. The higher end your clientele, the easier the transaction is, because you really don't have to fight so much for what you have to fight for down in the introductory space, if you will, for a lot of the the more conservatively priced properties. So with that being said, I just want to encourage you guys to know you have everything that you need to work with multi-million-dollar buyers. You have everything that you need to work with multi-million-dollar sellers. And at Porterhouse, we are a full service brokerage. So whether you need to provide them with services for moving, or, for staging, or for painting, or for whatever that looks like, landscaping, we can provide them with all of those resources necessary. One of the things that's also an additional benefit to you guys in our model at Porterhouse, we do everything together, Porterhouse style, as a family. So you all have people to work with you. when you're going on that listing appointment, just like you saw Darlene do with Sean, which is outstanding because that is absolutely the Porterhouse way. You give one of your colleagues, two of your colleagues, a call and say, hey, I have this appointment. Would you go with me? Would you like to accompany me? And what that does for you is it shows that client that you are a powerhouse agent and you come with a whole team and a brokerage full of resources. So now they see that when they hire you, they're going to get all of the support that they need. What we're talking about and have been talking about is doing your research in advance, looking at all of those multi-million-dollar properties so that you become aware of what those features are. You become aware of what the language is, scheduling those tours, doing those property previews, right? Even if, Anissa, Darlene is your buyer, that is absolutely fine. You guys are going and you're doing what we do in a comparative market analysis situation, but you're actually going physically into the properties so that you can be accustomed to what the clientele in that particular market is going to be interested in. So just take full advantage of exactly what we're talking about and just get to the point where you're comfortable in that space. And I promise you, it comes by more than just conversation. It's going to come by you actually going to those properties, doing those property previews. There are many times where you can go to model homes, and just to kind of scale it back for the sake of learning, you can go to a Toll Brothers model home, and I encourage you to. The sales agents there, the sales agents are going to provide you with tons of information so that you can look at all of the features and all the benefits and all of the add-ons and amenities and all of the things that are available to clients in a certain price point. That way you will be able to just adjust easily to that language. And once you do, that's really going to help your level of confidence, right? You heard me start out by saying it's about a mindset. Once you get to the point where you're comfortable in that space and you're open to working with clients in that space and you're looking for clients in that space, then guess what? They'll start coming to you. But the biggest thing is to get over the hurdle. That's why we're having these conversations. That's why we started out talking about, hey, showing you these properties, reading through this language, and say, how does that make you feel, right? Mr. Porter shared some tremendous insight with you in terms of just certain nuances and intricacies and things that people in a certain space have and are aware of. So you guys have absolutely got to take this challenge head on. Go and start doing our touring Tuesdays like we used to do. Pick that up. Go tour those properties, do your previews, and have those conversations. Bring those conversations back to Realty Talks. Bring them back to the mastermind meeting. Let's start comparing notes to what things you noticed, right? To what people you met, to the people that may see you touring a property. And if you guys go out there in a group of, 2 or 3 people touring a property and you're dressed appropriately in your Porterhouse badges and even your neckerchiefs, it will attract interest. It will attract buyer clients. It will intrigue seller clients. It will absolutely open up conversations for you to have with people in that space. We talked last week about being intentional about locations. We looked at it was over 800, I think it was over 800 multi-million-dollar listings just within 30 minutes of the office. And many of those were in your Bethesda area, but they were in just about every city that we have. So including Upper Marlboro, Bowie, and everywhere else, Accokeek. But many of them were concentrated in your Bethesda area. They were concentrated in your Chevy Chase area and so forth and so on. So we talked about being intentional, about having lead locomotives where you position yourselves in areas so that you go and intentionally have conversations with people that are within that vicinity where all the multi-million-dollar properties are. Our lead locomotives are intended to be outside of the office. They're intended to be impactful. They're intended to have all of our realty pros, especially all that are, if you're full-time, hoping to become full-time one day, or diligent as a dual career agent, it is absolutely for you. It's for you to go out in the field. It's for you to get over the jitters. And you don't do it by simply having a conversation on Realty Talks. This is the beginning. But you've actually got to act on it. You got to get to the point where you're having those conversations and you say, okay, the first one I might have fumbled. The second one got better. The third one, I think I got my stride. Now, this fourth one, I'm comfortable and I know what to say. That comes by absolutely hands on, out in the field, learning as you go and putting the things that you've already learned into practice. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say as it pertains to continuing with the momentum that we're building in this multi-million-dollar space. Because once you open yourself up to it, then it'll flow to you more easily than you think. We got to make sure that we adjust our mindset in that area so that we're not unintentionally repelling that type of client or unintentionally repelling that type of business for fear of how to deal with them. So let's get to a point where we're comfortable, we're all knowledgeable, we can walk and talk and show the value that you have as a real estate professional in any area. So I'm going to pause right there for now because I really want us to continue in light of the conversation. And I do want to hear from you guys as well. I want to hear what your thoughts are and even lead locomotives for you. Anita, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Porter. So you know what I'm excited about on my side is I'm excited because I took very good notes because everything that you were sharing, I have in notes today. So that's great. And you were mentioning, about all of the $1 million listings that are within 30 minutes of the office. And I just took a second look this morning. And there's a lot. There are 305 in Montgomery County alone. So that definitely, as Ms. Porter said to us, mentioned to us previously, we need to be in Montgomery County. And it's easy for us to be in Montgomery County because we have an office in Montgomery County. And so we can make the decision to go to Montgomery County and just meet in that office. Or, it doesn't have to necessarily be us all as a group, but it is good for when you do go to at least have a partner or two with you. So if it's not possible for us to just go all as one big group, we can go in partners. There are I looked at even Fairfax, in Fairfax, Virginia, there's 457 and what I found, Fairfax, Virginia, for all of us Fairfax agents, the listings were anywhere between $1 million and $50 million. That is, and there were 457 of those listings. So that's an area also that we need to be in. That's a space we need to be in. In Montgomery County, there were 305, as I mentioned, and they were between 1 million and 35 million. In Washington, D.C., absolutely, there were 536, and they were between 1 million and 32 million. And in Prince George's County, there were 37, and they were between $1 and $6 million. So there's definitely, the opportunity is out there. We just have to be confident enough, bold enough to move into that space. And Mrs. Porter is a great example of, just being a new agent. We can really look at what her journey has been. She's more than willing to share with us her journey and how she went from working with renters, and nothing wrong with renters, but being able to just position herself in a way that her worth and her knowledge and her expertise is attractive to now those $1 million clients or multi-million-dollar clients. So we really need to take advantage of and draw from the assistance, the help that she's provided for us. So I like that. Something else that because another area that we were looking at, Miss Porter went through the whole process of, being able to, something that we have invested in ourselves with is the MLS. And so because we've made that, and it's such a small investment based on the information that it provides to us. And so with that, she went through showing us how to identify those multi-million-dollar listings. We talked about the process, those things that perhaps we look for when we are looking in the MLS. We're looking at particular listings. What kind of information are we trying to gather from this? How is it beneficial to us? How will it help to prepare us to be able to, advance as far as these listings are concerned? Knowing and she just mentioned that, all the different features, knowing the terminology, knowing the names and brands of all of these things that come in these spaces. And then she also talked about some ideas of where else you can meet both her and Mr. Porter talked about places where we could meet these individuals that are looking for our expertise. And so they mentioned some of those. Some of those are places that perhaps you need to, or you would need to make a larger investment in, but don't think that just because perhaps you're not prepared in the moment to make a larger investment, that then doesn't allow you to be in contact with these people, because we talked about other ways in which we were able to come in contact with multi-million-dollar clients. So I guess I wanted to just pause there and just ask, is there any additional or anything that anyone else would like to share as far as their research thus far in the multi-million-dollar process? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? How are you feeling about the idea of us as a brokerage moving forward in with the multi-million-dollar clients, whether they be listings and or buyers? Because undoubtedly, it's absolutely possible that if a multi-million-dollar listing comes, they may be looking for another property. So it can be both buyers and or sellers. Yeah. And so please feel free to unmute yourself and share. What are your thoughts with regards to us moving forward in that way? Okay. It looks as if
I'll share a few more. I'll share a few words while we wait for everybody else to get the juices flowing. You guys think about the question that Anita asked and take yourselves off of mute. And while you do, I wanted to give us some food for thought with regards to marketing to people in these spaces. Everything that we do, you don't want to be a secret agent, right? So you got to get out there. People need to know your name. They need to know your face. They need to know your brand. They need to know the value that you bring to the table. So when you're talking about marketing to people, and we're talking about certain areas that have, much higher percentages of multi-million-dollar listings, there are a couple thoughts for you. Number one, about 30% of listings on the market expire, anywhere between 30 and 40%. Unfortunate thing, but it does happen. I'm getting a message. I see Cheryl unmuted herself. Cheryl, did you want to share anything right there?
I was just going to say, I love this. I love the direction that we're going in. And I know this is going to sound very juvenile, But I've always thought, like, if I met like a celebrity or something, like that would be my pitch. Like, I wanted to be their real estate person for all things real estate. So I am truly excited about this. I know I've been gone for a little while, but I'm back, and I'm excited.
Wonderful, Cheryl. We are excited to have you back. Absolutely. And my hope is that everybody else is excited as well. My hope is that everybody else can see it. Everybody else believes it. And we hope that you guys will have the same level of passion and fervor behind this particular area. So I talked about the listings expiring, about 30% of them, if you will, positioning yourselves in that space so that when they do, they know your name, they know your face, and you've provided some type of value in that area. Another thing that I'll say is, as it pertains to marketing, we've got to be intentional, guys. In real estate, you have to market and you have to invest in yourself. Mr. Porter, we teach you guys how to set up your business like a business so that you have your entity, you have your your EIN, your bank account, your business credit card, so forth and so on, because this is an investment into your real estate business. You should have normal marketing expenses that are coming off of your credit card so as to fund your real estate business on a consistent basis. If you have not yet gotten your business credit card, then you need to. If you've gotten one, great. Now it's time to get two. If you've gotten two, great. Now it's time to get three. But at the end of the day, you absolutely need to have leverage. This is a business, and you've got to have seed so that you can sow into your business as it pertains to your marketing. So you might ask, well, how does that apply in that space? And I'm glad you asked, because in that particular space, there are ways that you can market, and even sending out mailers within certain zip codes or certain cities to properties that are only, you might say, $2 million and above, where the homeowner is 55 years or older, where the homeowner has a certain amount of equity in the property, right? So you're being strategic and you're marketing to these properties on a consistent basis. And you and I both know that for your cold mail marketing, it's about 2% of a return on your investment. So if you consistently market to this particular space over time, you need to do it for at least 6 months. So we talked about you having your credit card set up so that it's coming out on a monthly basis. You're doing it for at least a 6-month period. If you're getting a 2% return on your investment, if you only sent out 100 postcards every month, that will be 2 leads that you would get every month. Out of those 2 leads, you're going to get at least 1 client. And your numbers could be higher than that. So if you're talking about 100 postcards, that's going to get you 1 client. And if that client is a $2 million client, and that $2 million client, what's your commission? What's 3% commission, or 3.5% on the listing side? What's 3.5% listing commission on a $2 million deal? Anybody want to take a guess there?
60,000.
Yeah, and it's actually more than that. Absolutely. So, and it's going to be 70,000. So look at that like it's even a bonus. So if you're sending out postcards, you have a campaign. They're going out every month for at least 6 months before you start to make any adjustments to them. And you're getting a client on a monthly basis. That's a $70,000, between $60,000 and $70,000 commission. So I want to put things in perspective for you, because you can send out postcards to any space, to any niche, to any type of property, to any type of demographic, and so forth and so on. But if you're going to do it, why not invest in an area that's going to yield a higher commission for you? If you're going to do it, why not do it in a space that's going to cause you to stretch and grow and progress and do more? If you're going to do it, why not aspire to everything that you got into real estate to do? So I really want to stretch our thinking. I really want to push us to the next level. I really want you guys to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if you're uncomfortable, that's great. That means you're in a space where you can grow, right? If you're uncomfortable, then that pushes you to learn. It pushes you to adjust. It pushes you to adapt. It pushes you to get to the point where you become the best version of you. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Anita, I know you're doing a phenomenal job. You're opening up the floor for everybody else to share their thoughts and insight and all that good stuff. But I really want to put things in perspective for us. You are in real estate. This is a business. It's a business, which means it's an investment, which means that there's capital that you should plan on a monthly basis to go into it. As it's a business, Mr. Porter teaches us, you don't take your personal money to go into your business. I'm telling you, we have lessons that we have learned that we can share with you. And if you follow what it is that we're teaching you, you will be even further. Establish your business like a business. Have your business credit cards. Get to the point where then you have your business leverage with your business lines of credit, but just start with those credit cards. And like I said, get you multiple, because you have to be able to have seed to sow into your business on a monthly basis. Anything that you do, and we know that from, farming, if you're farming, you absolutely have seed that you plant on a monthly basis in order for you to yield a harvest on that. Okay? So we talk about things that are little to no cost, or like Darlene says, and I think that it's so cool, free 99, or, the low cost of free, like Anita says. We talk about all of those things that do not cost you, but we really want you guys to break out beyond the point where you are limiting yourself by the assets or resources that you have in your own personal finances. When I started out talking about a mindset. It's all about your mindset. The difference between you and an agent that is listing a $100 million property is because they believe that they could, and they wouldn't let any of those limiting thoughts convince them otherwise. And I just submit to you today, your mindset, when you get to a point where you're determined that I can do this and I will do this, then there's nothing that's going to be able to stop you. So I want to share that. I want to convince you guys to do exactly what Mr. Porter has already taught you to do, and let's continue to progress it from there. And Anita, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Porter. And so I want to, again, open up the conversation. So please feel free to unmute yourself. I like what I always like when Mrs. Porter shares. I like when everyone shares, but because the information that she gives us is so relevant and so needed, and sometimes even simple enough, and I appreciated also what Cheryl said. I mean, Cheryl is dreaming, and so this is really great. I'm excited that she's excited. She's been dreaming about this, and even to her dream, now she's getting training. So she's going to have herself prepared so that when she meets that athlete or that celebrity, that she'll be able to be all things real estate for that client. So I like that. I like her excitement. I like the idea that Mrs. Porter was, again, reiterating the importance of us setting up our business as a business and making investments into ourselves. Everyone, I mean, I love a free or discounted deal. I do. However, sometimes we have to make the investment in ourselves. We have to put something in to get something out. And so that also too, I like that, the idea that she reminded us of that. Darlene. Oh, okay, Darlene, she has her hand raised. Please take yourself off mute.
Something that TD Jake said, and I was listening to him years ago, and this is when I kind of like started my cake baking business and was questioning, somebody gonna pay that for that cake, blah blah blah. One of the things he said is quality cost. And that's the bottom line, quality cost. you have to make an investment in yourself and in your business, and just keep it pushing.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Darlene. Yes, quality costs. Yes. And really in the end, just the return that you get on the investment is unmatched. And not only that, a lot of, if not all of what you invest in yourself is also a tax write-off. So you can also make sure you consider that as well. Um, is there anyone else who wanted to perhaps share something with the group? A couple things also, please feel free to take yourself off mute. Okay. While you are finding your unmute button, I'll also share with you, because Angela and I were talking about this earlier, and when we were talking about um, what I thought was a great idea, something that she had done in her research for making sure that she is prepared and she's equipped to and knowledgeable regarding these properties, these multi-million-dollar properties. Is she said that she went to Chat GPT and she just put in there what high-end appliances. Yes, Angela, could you unmute and then you could just share with us?
Can you guys hear me okay? So, yeah, I really enjoyed our last training on this, and I wanted to start getting prepared. So I did. I went to Chat GPT, and I just started plugging in things that were high-end appliances or luxury this, luxury that, things that I wanted to see what it would kind of spit out. And there were things there I had never heard of. And then there were things I was familiar with. So I thought, this is kind of fun. So for me, I like little challenges. So I did, it spit out all these different things. And then I was like, well, show me more. And then it would spit out some more. So I put together like a little chart and I listed all these things out like a little bingo board to try to encourage me to, I want to see or touch all these things that were listed there. So, I have a little chart, you guys, I can share it with you if you want to do the same thing. But when I go out to look at the properties, I want to kind of experience what that's like and get comfortable with it. But it also kind of forces me to do a little bit of research. If I don't know what that word means, I'm looking it up so that I know what to look for. And the more familiar I get with all of these things, like the difference between, quartz, granite, porcelain, knowing those things I think are important. But I just put a little chart together. It's like a big bingo board, and it lists everything from pool house to just things, I don't want to just, look at a $5 million property. I want to go higher. And it kind of forces you to push yourself to 10 million, $20 million properties to try to, again, not just go through the MLS. That's a great beginning step for me, but I want to go put my eyes on it and I want to touch these things so that I am familiar. And like Jasmine said, if you want to go to a model home or one of these builder homes, it's another way to get in there and just to try to, really get to know what these things are and make yourself familiar with it. So I put my little list together and I have my chart, and I'm excited to, find one with a tennis court, find one. So it's like a little bingo game that I created for myself to just encourage me to get out there.
Thank you, Angela. And so that was, I liked that idea, because not only is it helping me to, learning these different terms, these different products, but also I'm taking it a step further, because then when I go out to these properties, it's, actually putting, touching what it is that, that that goes with whatever the item is that, I thought that was a really, Chat GPT is the place to be. And so it really will, give you a lot of information. And then that information, you're able to basically just go and touch and see in person those things. And that's really great too, because then you're able to identify with, and, so that when you're having a conversation with someone, and another thing too is I think it's really great when you do have the opportunity to speak with that clientele, to have them, because everyone likes to share about themselves. And, definitely if you're talking to someone regarding their home, they'll share a lot of information with you. They'll tell you about the different features that they have in their home, and so that's also very helpful to us as well. So I liked that idea. I think that's a great place to also start doing some research to prepare us for when we really need to start. I would encourage us to begin now, scheduling those appointments. And as Ms. Porter always encourages us to do, to make sure that you take someone with you. You may not have right now a multi-million-dollar buyer, but I can take Kraman with me, or Kraman can be my agent, and we can go. And Kraman said, take him. And we can go and we can take Angela's list, because we've done the research, and we see, oh my goodness, Chat GPT told us about this. We went into the Bright MLS, and there's 8 of the 10 features that we saw from Chat GPT that are in this house. Let's schedule a showing for this house. So Kraman is scheduling the showing. I'm going out as his buyer, and we're going to actually touch these things that we've researched about. I see 2 hands. I see Curtis. We'll have Curtis and then Darlene, if you don't mind unmuting yourselves.
Hello, how's everybody doing today?
It looks like you're
hear me?
unmuted, Curtis, but we can't hear you.
Oh. Hello. Hear me now? No.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear
We
you.
can hear you. We can hear you. Hey, Curtis.
Okay, cool. Hey, how's everybody doing? So I just wanted to
Great.
jump on real quick and just kind of drop some information too, or just some thoughts. I think that a lot of times we'll look at $1 million and we think of it as like a lot of money. And it was a lot of money back in the 80s. So years ago, $1 million hit a little different. And I personally I've shown some of the townhouses up at National Harbor, the newer big ones on that hill. And those are like, those are $1 million townhouses. And they're not that fancy inside, and I know they're not that fancy because I've looked at real luxurious properties, that, like Angela was saying, that 5-10 million and north of that, that's when you really get into luxury. So I'm saying that because we have to kind of get out of our mind that $1 million, like, that's a lot. Can I handle that? You can definitely handle $1 million listing. You can help write an offer for $1 million. There's houses all around us in the DMV, especially PG County, $600,000-$700,000, and they're cookie cutter properties that when you go in, the appliances aren't Wolfgang. The appliances aren't, there aren't like super luxurious homes. So you can do it. Any of us can write these offers, can show these properties. We just have the million from when we were younger. $1 million used to be a lot of money. But in 2023 and moving forward, $1 million isn't what it used to be. So to have that confidence, to go in and look at the homes, to start to familiarize yourself, because you're never going to know when the deal is going to land in your lap. You just won't know. My first $1 million, I was representing the buyer, $1 million property. That deal, literally, I was laying on the couch. I know Shay always loves saying how I lay on the couch and then deals like this fall in my lap. I was laying on the couch. It was during COVID. I was watching, I don't know if they were storming the Capitol or what, but it was just, crazy time period we were in. Phone rang. A guy helped buy an investment property, wanted me to help him buy his $1 million house. Was I hesitant? No. It's like, we will make this happen. That sounds great. I jumped up off the couch and went into realtor mode and started working on the deal. So you won't know sometimes when that deal is gonna happen. So that's why I recommended on, I think, the last call, Architect Digest, thumbing through Rob's report. You don't have to get subscriptions to these magazines, but next time you go to see a Books a Million, go and pick up 2 luxury real estate property type magazines and thumb through them. You're going to see the advertisements because that's where the high end appliances are going to be advertising, because that's where the buyers are they're looking through these magazines. So to constantly work on yourself, you can't run a 5K just getting up off the couch if you've never trained in your life. You have to work at it so now you can perform. You can complete the task. You can help this client when you go to a networking event, or you're out at a ball game, or you're sitting in a more luxury area of a whatever. And now, hey, you know what? I need a realtor. I'm looking to buy blah, blah, blah. And you're ready. Like, you stay ready so you don't have to be ready. I was, another thing before I jump off, I was in Belize. We were on this choppy boat going to an island to party. It was with the family. It was like this boat thing. We went out, and on the way back, I overheard one of the guys talking that he wants to buy a property in Maryland. So here I am. I was like, wow. I was like, really? I was like, do you have a realtor you're working with? No. And needless to say, the boat is like choppy. We're bouncing around in the boat. So I was like, well, I could be your realtor. I'm a licensed realtor for Maryland. Exchange information. The property that he was interested in, it didn't work out, right? But we're still in contact. I don't know when this gentleman might randomly reach out to me and be like, hey, Curtis, you know what? I'm ready to pull the trigger and I found this home. That's the thing with more high-end clients. Like the deal that landed on me on the couch, he gave me the home. I didn't even have to search. He knew the house he wanted. So when we look at million plus, 5 million plus, they know what they want. They know the financing. They're a lot more savvy. They're a lot different. This gentleman too, he had a specific home on a specific lot that he wanted to purchase, and it didn't work. So more than likely, when he does reach out to me, he's going to be like, hey, Curtis, look, this is the home I'm interested in moving forward on. What can you do for me? So you have to keep getting ready so that when it does fall in your lap, you can move on it swiftly and know what you're doing. If you just wait and not improve on yourself, not invest in yourself, and then something does fall in your lap, at Porterhouse, we're definitely going to still help you land that plane. We'll still get the deal done, but you're going to feel and be in a much better place of authority and knowing, and better positioned as the selling agent or the listing agent. So million ain't a lot, guys. We can definitely do these $1 million deals. That's all I wanted to chime in on.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I don't know, something just hit differently for me there when you were talking about, being ready so you don't have to get ready. And I appreciate so much right now this season that we are in, where we are in the process of preparation, so I'm just believing that this is coming to us. And I guess I'm sure Mrs. Porter, she already knew that. I'm just catching on right now, but she knew that. And so that's why she's begun this process with us. So I'm excited about that. We are all getting ready, so that we don't have to be ready when we are all getting ready now, so we don't have to get ready when we meet that client or clients. So very good. Thank you, Curtis, for sharing that. Darlene, you wanted to share. You can unmute yourself.
That was a mistake.
Oh, okay. Okay. So thank you guys for sharing. Is there anyone else who has any contribution? I can't believe that Kraman is here in the office with us. And Kraman always has something to contribute to the conversations.
Well, I can say this, Rebecca, you're right.
I'm
Okay, is that better? Okay. So Curtis really said it all. He really said what I was thinking, but I can throw this in. You know, sometimes when you hear words or you hear numbers, it can become intimidating, especially if you don't deal with those numbers on a day-to-day basis. So when we hear numbers like $1 million home, we hear numbers like $1 million, listings and things of that nature. Sometimes, it can the numbers can kind of play with your mind. And one of the things that kind of helped me and that is helping me as I go through that, there was a book that I read a while back called The Millionaire Next Door. And it really talks about that there are a lot of millionaires that are all around you. And you may not realize it because you're looking for millionaires to have a certain look or to drive a certain car or to be a certain way. And these are people who have a net worth or whatever of $1 million. And if we don't kind of get out of our own way and keep thinking that, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to this person because, I'm looking for millionaire people and they don't look like they're millionaire people. Well, millionaire people and people who have had money for a while, they don't do like the folks that we see who just get money, like the rappers with the bling and all that kind of stuff. That's just not the way they roll. They have had money, so money doesn't mess with their mind. They know how it works. They know it's a tool. So they come from a different way. So you got to kind of look a different way when you're thinking about them. The other thing that Curtis was saying was, and it reminded me of this guy who I met a long time ago, and he had hit the lotto for $1 million. And all of his family thought, okay, now you're a millionaire, and everybody's coming at him. But he said, you have to understand, like Curtis said, $1 million now is not what $1 million was. He said, and he was sharing about how when he got the money, he said, first of all, he said, Uncle Sam took 30 to 40% off of it, off the top. And because he was a man of God and a Christian man, he said, of course, I got to give the Lord 10% first. And so he said, by the time you really come down to it, it's not what you kind of think it was. And so what that made me think of was this. A lot of people, when they bought their house that they're selling now for $1 million, they didn't buy it for $1 million. They bought it for whatever they bought it for, and the appreciation has made it $1 million. So now you're thinking that's $1 million house, but when you get in, it's not the type of house that takes your breath away. And you are concerned because I got $1 million listing and it's going to $1 million, but it really is not what you think a $1 million house would look like. And the other thing is when people are buying the house, a lot of times when people who are looking at those properties, they're selling a house. So they're already putting a lot of money down. They might be putting $400,000 or $500,000 down. So really, they're not where they have the means to pay what you might think $1 million mortgage would be. They're really only paying a loan for $600,000 because of what they put down. So I'm saying all that to say that the picture that we have in our mind, the thoughts that we have in our mind when we're talking about big numbers, the way that it can sometimes be a little bit, don't want to use the word scary, but it can be a little bit intimidating. It really isn't that. And then the last thing I'll say is this. I just was dealing right now with a couple who trying to buy $1 million home, $1 million thing. And I met this guy at the Lowe's. Me and my wife were just at Lowe's. And the only reason why he even talked to me is because I had my hat on. that said, asked me about real estate. You would have walked past this guy. I would have walked past this guy, just never thinking that he was $1 million anything. He's just a regular guy, him and his wife. But yet, you know, because I was advertising, whether I knew I was advertising, not because I had my hat on. So we're always advertising if you have your badge on, if you have anything on. So he stopped me. But the good thing about it was I was ready because of the things that I've been learning in realty talks and everything. So I was ready to be able to talk to him intelligently. And they reminded me there's an old saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So when the agent is ready, the $1 million listing will appear. So we just got to get, like TJ says, get ready, get ready, get ready. And like Curtis said, you want to already be ready so you don't have to get ready. So what we're doing now is we're learning how to be ready, because one thing I've learned, the $1 million people, the $1 million listings, the $1 million buyers, they are definitely out there. And so you just have to put yourself in the position, put yourself in the place. Mrs. Porter always talks about your farming area and where you're going to be going. I'll throw this one out. A lot of people, we talked about different areas, and because we family, I'll share this with everybody. We talked about different areas. I haven't heard too many people say anything about Howard County. Howard County is a major area for $1 million listings. Howard County has probably one of the best school systems in the nation. The per capita income in Howard County, because this in the DMV, this is the top 10 income areas in Montgomery County, PG County, Northern Virginia, all of that, Howard County. So let's not sleep on that. So if you're looking at areas, do a wide search, and you'll find a lot of $1 million listings out here. So that was pretty much it. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Kraman. So I got a lot out of that as well. Thank you so much, Kraman. So Kraman, who would have thought that millionaires go to Lowe's? Who would have thought? So, and although Kraman was not out there and saying to everybody, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent, he said loud and clear, I'm a real estate agent, because he had his real estate agent, he had a question on his mind. He had his hat on, and someone who needed an agent answered the question. Or they, he said, ask me about real estate. And so they asked, and so that's another great reason for us to make sure that even when we're not saying it out of our mouths, that we are still positioning ourselves in a way that people know who we are, and they know that they can ask us questions. So is there anyone else who would like to contribute? Your contributions are welcome. Okay. Okay, if not, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop the recording. I've enjoyed the information that I've gathered from this Realty Talk. Thank you guys so much.